Okay, everybody. Raymundo here. We're shifting gears a little bit. You can see some things have changed. This is going to be about my third or fourth attempt at making these videos for you guys to watch and to learn and to get into position to where you can create and draft your own trust, and more importantly, execute your own trust and administrate it, and be a trustee. Prior videos have been of different formats and styles. This will be similar, but I know the other ones were quite confusing, and I was dumping a lot of information on you, so I'm going to try to break them up a little bit here. And we're going to start off here with just what is a trust? What are the basics of trusts? All right, that ain't going to work. Let's try this. There we go. All right, what is a trust? Okay, real simply, it's a contract. Okay, it's always a contract. It's a contract between two parties for the benefit of a third party, which makes it unique. It makes it a little different. Your standard contract is just two people buying, selling, doing whatever. But then a trust is just the same contract, but everything the trustee does is for the benefit of a third party. There is no mechanism really where, I guess there could be, but it's not supposed to be, where the trustee in the contract is doing stuff for themselves. Okay, they're supposed to be doing stuff for the beneficiary. However, there are some unique characteristics of trusts that give trustees a little bit more power. So, but yeah, here we go. Here's some pictures for you. A little diagram. Again, the grantor and the trustee are in contract for the benefit of the third, the beneficiary. All right, and that's kind of the diagram I like to use, a little triangle that shows the, grantor and the trustee, and then down below is the beneficiary. Now, a grantor, as part of the trust, has to give property to the trust. They have to grant some kind of real property into the trust. And depending on the venue of the trust and what type will dictate what type of property can go in. But nevertheless, whether you have a statutory trust or a common law private express trust, the grantor is putting something in it. Okay, so a trust is quite simple. It can do a lot of things. All right, it's just a contract. Now, you can buy and sell things on contract that will end in a day, right? Now, you can also have a contract that'll last years and years and years. And so trusts have forever been used in lots of different ways. They have been used for contracts, for holding property for somebody, or just for buying and selling. When it's not a direct, when the goods aren't on site, sometimes you pay money for something, knowing the goods are going to come later. That's still a trust relationship. There's still three parties. But the Rockefellers, they became just filthy rich using trusts. They gamed the whole system with trusts. Here's just a cute little picture. Show an example. The Standard Oil Trust is the certificate. Some kind of beneficial ownership certificate. And then over here on the right is actually kind of a snippet of the Rockefeller trust web. Okay, so outside of commerce, outside of everything you see, these corporations, behind the scenes, all these corporations, a lot of them are owned by the same individual or same group of folks. And we don't see that because you don't see it in commerce. You don't see that side. This is all private side. And you can just do a whole bunch of stuff in the private side. You can be involved in different industries and be doing all kinds of stuff. But this should show you the real power of what trust can do. Okay, let's go back to the basics. Again, you got a contract, right? And you got three parties. You always have three parties. They're always the grantor, the trustee, and the beneficiary. Now, people are friggin' sneaky. People are tricky. And trusts are everywhere, and yet they don't teach us anything about trust. So they will oftentimes use different words and different names for the different parties. Like grantor is sometimes called the writer or the settler. The trustee might be the fiduciary. And the beneficiary, it could just be the beneficial owner or the entitlement holder. different names for different situations. Nothing really necessary to understand. This is the part you want to understand. Grantor, trustee, beneficiary. Okay, again, here we are. All right, that is wild. Here we go. All right, we're going to the basics of all trusts, and yeah, basics of the trust. The trustee right here is the performer and the responsible party of the trust. They do everything. Everything. They are performing, always performing. They are considered the legal owner. And that's really what legal means, okay? Legal is a corporate term, commercial thing. And in the legal world, even though somebody else owns the trust, they can be considered the owner because they have the right to perform on it in courts, in business, in all interactions. The beneficiary is a total silent party. All right, the beneficiary doesn't do anything. They don't have to do anything. They're not supposed to do anything. Certain trusts in certain situations may put some kind of restrictions on beneficiaries that they have to do something before they can become a beneficiary or before they can get property out of the trust. But in the normal function of a trust, beneficiaries don't do anything. The grantor. Okay, the grantor starts the trust, okay? Trusts are unique and they can go a lot of different ways. You know, the one we're talking about here, you know, you're going to be the trustee. However, you can write up the trust as the trustee and just find someone to do the granting, to grant the property, to be the grantor. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, to start the trust, the grantor will pick a trustee, and then they grant property into the trust. They give property away. And then after that occurs, the grantor doesn't have to do anything. They go away. They're done. That's the whole point of their effort in a trust, in a standard trust, is that they trusted somebody else to take care of something. And once they've trusted them, they've trusted them. They don't need to keep coming back, and they shouldn't. Grantors should be far away from your trust once they execute it. Okay, so those are the parties. Here are some basic rules. Grantor cannot be the trustee. They can't be related to the trustee. They can't live in the same house. All right. The trust, well, it's kind of an awful picture. It's supposed to be an arrow. But a trustee cannot grant anything into the trust. Okay, because then they would act as grantor. And if the trustee acts as grantor, then the protection of the trust is gone. All right. The beneficiary must be vested. Okay, the beneficiary doesn't do anything. Not going back on that. However, they got to pick somebody. You got to name somebody. There's got to be a named individual as beneficiary in the trust. The trust has to have a territorial boundary. You have to pick a location for this trust, where this trust is going to be active and functioning. And just because a trust might have a situs in Colorado does not permit it or limit it from doing business or buying property somewhere else. That's just the location of where the trust is going to be performed, really. And the trust must have real property in it. You can't just put together a thing, give people titles, and have them going out and doing stuff. There has to be property in the trust. Okay, that's a trust, folks. That's the very basics of a trust, okay? It's really just the grantor, the trustee, and the beneficiary, property in it, a location, and there's just some rules you got to follow. So that's it. Short and sweet. I hope you got something out of it, and join me for the next video. We'll talk about the Private Express Trust specifically. Have a great day.